That was louder than any Akashvani. Okay, let's get started. Whoever knows the Mangalacharan, please recite. Om Adhyanathimiranthasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadkamlam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Satam Sajivam Sadhavetam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीकृष्णचैतन्य ईश्वरं गुरुवे गौरचन्द्राय राधिकाय तदालये कृष्णाय कृष्णभक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna. So, this topic, I called it Curbing the Misplaced Desires. So, we were just reading about something like this recently in our Bhagavad Gita discussions on Sunday morning. So, that's where I thought I would discuss this more today. So, as you know, we just finished chapter 3 in our morning readings, and Arjun asked Krishna this question, that why is sometimes a living entity impelled as if by force to perform or to commit some sinful action, to commit some criminal, some unworthy action, as if by force, as if they're being compelled by something. What is that something that compels them to perform something sinful? So that was 3.36. He said, Athakin prayukto yam papam charati purusha anicham api varshneya balad iba niyojita. Balad iba, as if by force, as if something is forcing him against his will to commit something sinful. So I think most of you know the answer. What did Krishna say? What did Krishna answer? It is lust only. So he said it is lust only, Arjun, which is born of contact with the material modes of passion and later transformed into wrath, and which is the all devouring sinful enemy of this world. So the verse that he says is, if you know, please recite. Kama esha krodha esha rajoguna samudbhava maha ashno maha papma vidhi ena ihaverinam. So he said, this lust is the source of, is the all devouring source of all the pap, all the sinful acts that are committed in this world. Okay, so this lust is the very means enemy. Okay, it's the very or the enemy of all living entities. Okay, so lust basically in this world, lust is not just any sexual desire. Typically, like in modern context, we say lust is like sexual, very strong sexual desire, right? But in Vedic scriptures, actually, lust refers to any type of very strong material desire that is separate from Krishna. Any strong enjoyer tendency that keeps you in this world, that is not aligned with the will of Krishna. Okay, that cannot be, that is basically displaying not your servitude, not your servant mentality, but your enjoyer mentality. Okay. So there is this beautiful painting in our ISKCON which shows, I'll come to, this is a Bhagavatam class, so there is a Bhagavatam verse which we will discuss, but I just want to give you an intro before we discuss that verse, where this word lust or desire is coming from. So Krishna gave this answer to Arjuna that lust or unwanted desires separate from me, are a very big problem. Okay. So as you see in this picture, so you see up top, I don't know if you can see my cursor, but up top there is Golok Vrindavan, there is Radha Krishna, right? There is a spiritual world. You can see all the beauty over there. And then down in this bottom portion, you see the material world. If you look very carefully, you can see that there is, let me show you the next slide actually. There is a better picture. So you can see Vedic hymns, liberation, economic development, sense gratification, all these things are mentioned here. So basically we are living in this, see what a mess it is. It looks like a very big, like a jumble of things going on. So like a lot going on there, right? So this mess is the material world. And if you look at this, look at that picture again. I put two pictures because one is more clear. So between the spiritual world and material world, there is this water, and you see the word desire written on it. So it is described in our scriptures by our teachers that it is this desire that is actually separating you from spiritual world. This desire is the basis of creation of this material world. The world exists, like some people say, right? There is a very famous song, दुनिया बनाने वाले क्या तेरे मन में समाई तूने काहे को दुनिया बनाई. So why did he make the world? Because we desired, because we wanted to enjoy separate from Krishna. We wanted to have that same lordship tendency that he has. He's the Lord. We say his lordship, right? His lordship, right? Radha Vallabhji. But we wanted to be the lord of this material world. We wanted to lord it over other living entities and over other human beings and over the material nature. So Krishna gave us this place. Go live there, do what you want, fulfill all your desires. And once your desires are purified, once they are completely cleansed, once you're free from any unwanted desires, any desires that are separate from me, then you will come back to the spiritual world. So the basis of this material existence is actually this desire. Some of you may remember that in chapter 15 of Bhagavad Gita, it is described that there is a banyan tree, right? The first verse says that there is a banyan tree. And that this material world is actually an inverted reflection of that banyan tree which exists in the spiritual world. So let's say spiritual world is a upright banyan tree, then this material world is an inverted or upside down reflection of that banyan tree. But that reflection, for a reflection to happen, you need water, right? You need water for reflection to happen. So that water is basically desire. Okay. So the desire, the reflection will not exist unless there is water. So the reflection exists because there is this water, because there is this desire. So since all these jivas have so much desire to enjoy separate from Krishna, that's why this material world exists. Okay. So in that purport to that verse, Kamesha Krodesha, Prabhupada actually says that this lust is the symbol of ignorance or avidya by which the living entity is kept within this material world. Which means as long as one has material desires, one is very ignorant, right? And if you're ignorant, you will stay in this material world. So avidya is leading to this desires. Okay. Okay. So then in chapter, we have also covered chapter 2. We have also covered chapter 2 of Bhagavad Gita. Towards the very end, in chapter 2, Krishna gives this beautiful analogy. Okay. He says, 2.70, this is one of the last verses. Anybody remembers what is the last section of chapter 2 talking about? Who remembers? Yes, so this is talking about Sthit Pragya. This is talking about who is the sober-minded or equipoised person, right? So Arjun asked that question, who is a Sthit Pragya? And then Krishna is listing all the qualities of a Sthit Pragya. So one of the very important qualities of a Sthit Pragya is this. What is that quality? So Krishna says, Apuryamanam achalam pratishtha samudramapam pravishanti yadvat tadvad yathama pravishanti sarve sashanti mapnoti mukhamukami. So Krishna gives a beautiful analogy. He says that sober-minded person is like an ocean. Just like in an ocean, so many rivers can enter and ocean will stay equipoised. Ocean will not be disturbed. So many rivers enter. Similarly, so many desires may enter in your mind, in your heart, but you should not be ruffled by them. You should not be disturbed by them. You should stay sober minded and stable despite all these desires, all these rivers entering into the ocean of your mind, ocean of your heart. So he says, a person who is not disturbed by the incessant flow of desires that enter like rivers, which is ever being filled, but is always still. So imagine, you would think that so many rivers enter, it will create a chaos, it will create a lot of disturbance in the ocean, but it doesn't. Ocean just absorbs them all and still stays still. So that's how the consciousness of a sober-minded person is, that so many desires enter, but they stay sober. Such person, so sa shanti mapnoti, he gets peace, na kama kami, not the kami person who's trying to fulfill all their desires, right? What are kami people or karmi people doing in this world? Whatever desires come to them, whatever attractions, temptations are given to them, they want it all. They want to do everything in the world. They want to have everything in the world. They want to enjoy different things in the world. So there is a lot of upheaval in their consciousness. Their consciousness is not able to absorb all this desires that are entering into it. I have some quotes here from some great men, because this concept of desire control or curbing unwanted desires, this is not something unique to our Vedic scriptures. Okay, this concept of desire control is actually given by almost all the prominent religions of this world. It is mentioned by all the prominent philosophers and scholars of this world. The reason they became such prominent scholars and philosophers and these religions are prominent is because this is all composed of sober-minded people that are able to control, curb their excessive, unwanted, unworthy, useless desires. Okay, so so basically, he said, Aristotle said that it is basically controlling your desires means that you have victory over self. Because who can tell me where? So Krishna also mentions in Bhagavad Gita that lust sits in there are certain sitting places of the lust. What are those sitting places? And most important one, mind. So desires is one of the function of the mind actually. Senses, intelligence, and mind. Senses and intelligence, yes. So do we have desires? So let's say, give me some example of some desires. Watch cricket. Okay. Okay. Watch movies. So the desires that you just mentioned, okay, movies and cricket. Where is this? Is this what aspect of your body it's satisfying? A little bit of the senses, but more your mind and mostly your mind, I would say. What about let's say okay, movies can also probably satisfy intelligence. Can they satisfy intelligence? Reading unnecessary books, which is one of my problems. Intelligence, it is satisfying. So it is what? So somebody could say, oh, that is not an unwanted. Yes, it is an unwanted excessive desire, because it is just sense gratification for intelligence. Not sense, but gratification for intelligence. So there can be certain desires that are gratifying your mind, certain desires that are gratifying your intelligence, and so basically gross and subtle body, right? So we have to be careful of both. Don't think just eating something or just traveling is excessive desire. There can be so many things in this world that are under the garb of something sattvic, and yet they're unwanted desires, right? Okay. So let's see. Does anyone know that picture? Yeah. Let's see who can identify some pictures today. So now let's start with our Bhagavatam class. So we were just setting up the scene. Okay, this was just intro. Now we'll start with our recitation. So this is the very important, very beautiful verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. Let's recite this, and if you're able to memorize, let's memorize also today. So please recite after me. Oh, before that, let's do Bhagavatam prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमा श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नन्दगोपाकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः. So this verse comes in second canto. Anybody knows this verse from before and we can recite after you? I'm aiming to memorize this today. Like everybody should memorize that verse if possible. Okay, so let's recite it. We'll do it at least 3 times, maybe 3 times at the end if time permits, okay? Akama sarva kamo va. Akama sarva kamo va. Akama sarva kamo va. Moksha kama udaradhi. Moksha kama udaradhi. Once more. Moksha kama udaradhi. Tivrena bhakti yogena. Tivrena bhakti yogena. Tivrena bhakti yogena. Yajeta purusham param. Yajeta purusham param. Yajeta purusham param. Okay. So without looking, we'll do. Okay. So try to fit it in your memory. We'll do 3 times again. Akama sarva kamo va. Akama sarva kamo va. Akama sarva kamo va. Moksha kama udaradhi. Moksha kama udaradhi. Moksha kama udaradhi. Tivrena bhakti yogena. Tivrena bhakti yogena. Tivrena bhakti yogena. Yajeta purusham param. Yajeta purusham param. Yajeta purusham param. Okay, who can recite? And we can have it on the screen. That's okay. Let's look and recite. Maybe 3 people. Akama sarva kamo va. Moksha kama udaradhi. Tivrena bhakti yogena. Yajeta purusham param. Akama sarva kamo va. Akama sarva kamo va. Moksha kama udaradhi. Tivrena bhakti yogena. Yajeta purusham param. Yajeta purusham param. Akama sarva kamo va. Moksha kama udaradhi. Tivrena bhakti yogena. Yajeta purusham param. Let's look at them. You want to say? Akama sarva kamo va. Akama sarva kamo va. Moksha kama udaradhi. Tivrena bhakti yogena. Yajeta purusham param. So let's look at the meaning. So I think all of you know the meaning of akam, right? Akam means somebody who has spiritual desires or no material desires, but basically desires that are aligned with the Lord, right? Akama means spiritual desires. So somebody who has spiritual desires. Sarva Kama means a kami person, like a lustful person who has many desires, lots of desires. They want to be completely immersed in this world and enjoy many, many things in this world. That is Sarva Kama. Moksha Kama means somebody who has desire for moksha, okay, who desires liberation, like an impersonalist person or like a Buddhist, people that believe in Buddhism or nihilism, like those kind of theories, those kind of philosophies. So those are all moksha kami. So moksha kama. So whatever your desires are, okay, whether you have spiritual desires, whether you have all kinds of desires, you're very kami, or whether you have moksha kama, okay, moksha kami. Develop udar dhi. Dhi means intelligence. Udar means broad, like very wide, right? Very mature, very broad, very developed intelligence. Okay, udar dhi. And perform tivrena bhakti yogena, very forceful, very powerful bhakti yoga. Okay, very quickly, very powerfully perform bhakti yoga to Purusham Param, to the Supreme Whole. Which so basically the verse is saying, whoever you are, we don't care. That's why we say in Krishna conscious movement, everyone is welcome. We don't care who you are, whether you have a lot of desires in this world, whether you have just desire for moksha, or whether you have spiritual desire. You're already a very advanced devotee. Whoever you are, very, very forcefully, very powerfully perform this bhakti yoga with broad intelligence, with a cultivated, mature intelligence. So the actual translation is, a person who is broader intelligence, whether he be full of all material desires, without any material desires, or desiring liberation, must by all means worship the supreme whole, the personality of Godhead. Whoever you are, nobody is banned, nobody is barred, everybody is included. Okay, you should perform bhakti yoga. So this is a beautiful verse which comes in Chaitanya Charitamrita. It is said in this verse that all kinds of people, whether they are, bhukti, mukti, kami, all kinds of people, actually, they are very restless, very disturbed in this world. Only Krishna Bhakt is peaceful. So the verse goes like this, that bhukti, mukti, siddhi, kami, sakalaiva ashant, Krishna Bhakta Nishkam Tataiva Shant. So Krishna Bhakt is Nishkam, that's why he's Shant, because he's Akami, he's Nishkami. That's why he's always Shant, he's always peaceful, he's always undisturbed. Remember that equipoised verse we talked about, 2.70? So he's always Nishkam, that's why he's Shant. But Bhukti, Mukti, Siddhi, Kami, people that desire Siddhis in this world, people that desire Bhukti, like all kind of bhogas they want, or Mukti, any kind of liberation they want, they're always Ashant. Okay, so this, but because Krishna's devotee is desireless, that's why he is Shant. So somebody can say, what is the problem with desires? What is the problem with me going to travel on a cruise? Or what is the problem with me, what do you say, watching a movie or reading a book or, I don't know, different examples you all gave, right? So the problem with desires is when you have a desire, you take action on it, right? And from Bhagavad Gita, we understand that when you act, okay, that action will have consequences, okay? So if your desires are separate from Krishna, that means you're performing some action which is not aligned with Krishna's will, right? And so that action will cause reaction and you will be entangled, you will get a karmic reaction, you will now be in debt again, you will be implicated, right? You will be entangled in this world, so your material existence will continue. Why? Because you desired. Can anybody mention the concept of three doers from Bhagavad Gita? Let's hear from somebody who hasn't spoken. Did you already speak? I don't remember. Mataji, you want to say? The three doers, do you know? Or Rekha Mataji, or Bhagavad Gita experts, Anita Mataji. If not, then I'll go to Nagarjun Prabhu. The three doers that are mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. Okay, Prabhuji. Yes. So, okay. So Prabhuji mentioned there are three doers, Jiva, Paramatma, and Gunas or Prakriti, right? So what is the role of, so Paramatma, I'll tell you the role of other two. Paramatma sanctions our action. The Prakriti facilitates our action. What is the role of Jiva in that? Jiva desires, right? So what is the problem? Desire. So that's why desire is a problem, because when you desire, then you act upon it, then Paramatma will sanction, Prakriti will facilitate, because Paramatma is sanctioned. So Prakriti has no choice but to facilitate that action, right? So the whole sequence of action started from desire. And action will lead to reaction. So you will have a karmic reaction, right? So you will get entangled. So desire separate from Krishna will cause consequences, will have reactions, and Jiva will get the karma. The reason he got the karma is because he desired. So that some people say, why did Paramatma sanction? Maybe if I wanted to kill someone, let's say, or I wanted to steal, maybe Paramatma shouldn't have sanctioned that action. But you wanted it that bad. You wanted to do this thing. You really wanted it. You had such a strong desire that Paramatma will sanction your desire, right? And you will get a consequence. You will get a reaction. Why do you get a reaction? Because you initiated this whole chain of action. Paramatma had to sanction because you desired, right? So now tell me something else. If it is, let's differentiate between a devotee and a non-devotee. Okay, if it is a devotee, Paramatma, let's talk about a non-devotee, somebody who is not in the shelter of Krishna. Paramatma will sanction and that person will get a reaction, right? If it is a devotee, what will happen? And I want something that is not right for me. I have some ambition. I want to become something that is not ideal for me, that is going to have a problem in the future. Will Krishna sanction or not? Krishna may not sanction, right? Or what will Krishna do? He may sanction it in such a way that I will soon see the problem with that desire. I will soon see the error of that desire, the folly of that desire, right? So Krishna may fulfill it in such a way that I will never ask for that thing again, right? He may fulfill it in such a way that I will be purified of that desire. He will satisfy it, but in his own way. Why? Because Krishna participates in the life of a devotee. So for other people, he's just going to sanction, okay, based on his previous karma, based on whatever he deserved now, he deserved this action to be sanctioned. So he sanctioned that desire. But for devotee, he's going to personally participate in the life of devotee and decide, no, this you are my child, right? For any other child, if let's say I'm a shopkeeper, they come to me and they say, I want a pack of cigarettes. And they give me money. He has the money. I cannot say no to him, so I have to give him a pack of cigarettes. But if it's my own child, even if he gives me money, I'm not going to give him a cigarette, or I'm going to give him cigarette in such a way that he will never smoke again, right? So because I have taken shelter of Krishna, the devotee has taken shelter of Krishna, Krishna will purify that desire or sanction it in such a way that it will not perpetuate his material existence, that will actually cause spiritual growth and progress for that particular jiva, for that devotee, right? So all, and like I was saying before, all prominent religions talk about desire control, right? So you see here, Buddha is saying, not getting what you desire and getting what you desire can both be disappointing. So can somebody give an example? I'll give you a situation. Yes, go ahead, ma'am.
Somebody, they say they want to go on to the honest, but then they get sick.
Yeah.
They never enjoyed
Yeah. Yes.
and go camping and get eaten by a bear.
Eaten by nothing less than that can happen to you, huh? So definitely. So fulfilling, you think that something is right for me, so you ask for certain things, right? And if it's not fulfilled, you are disappointed. So Buddha is saying here that if it's not fulfilled, you are disappointed because your desire was not fulfilled. But be rest assured that in this world, if the material desires are fulfilled, you will still be disappointed. The disappointment has not come yet. It will come. It will come in some form or the other, right? If you planned a cruise, maybe you will end up wasting a lot of money that you needed in future for something else. Or like Mataji said, you get sick. Let's say I wanted to become a doctor. I became a doctor, became very high profile doctor, whatever, right? So I'm thinking, oh, my desire got fulfilled. But then down the road, something really bad happens, right? Some really bad lawsuit, and I become very unpopular and whatnot, right? It brought me more problems, it brought me more trouble than if I had not become a doctor, right? So like eaten by a bear, I probably have been okay staying home, but it brought me more trouble by fulfilling that desire. So even though we sometimes feel that my desire was fulfilled and I was all successful, still, if it is a material desire, if it is separate from Krishna, if it is a completely enjoy tendency, it will have some negative consequences we just cannot see. Okay, it may have negative consequences in this life, or it may have negative consequences in the next life, in future lives. But there will be some kind of entanglement, some kind of problem that will come out of it. So that's why all religions, all major philosophies, all scholars, they always mention that we should control our desires. We should restrain, we should refrain from excessive, unworthy, useless desire. Okay? So this is another thing about desires. If the desire is not fulfilled, you really wanted something, right? You really wanted a car, you were collecting money for a long time, right? Still somehow somebody stole the money, whatever, you could never get the car. So your desire was not fulfilled. So you will be very angry, you will be very frustrated, right? You will have anxiety. I really wanted to prove myself to some people, or I really wanted to make a name for myself, and it didn't happen. So you'll be very anxious, you'll be very angry about this, right? Lamenting about it. But the problem is, if a material desire does get fulfilled, that is also a problem, because now you want more. That is the nature of material desire. It doesn't go deep enough. So you want more. You're left wanting more. It is not profound enough. It is not blissful enough. It is not long lasting enough. And it came at a very, after a lot of parishram, after a lot of effort. So you want more of it, because it just didn't satisfy, it just didn't touch the right spot. So you want more and more of it. So it causes greed, right? So, and then what happens? Both these things, that's why Krishna said that the lust is the source of pap, or sinful actions, because whether the desire is fulfilled or not fulfilled, either way it will lead to sinful action, because either you want more, right? I can give many examples from the modern world, but there are so many people that are wanting more and more, and they want to invade more and more countries, right? They want more and more bank balance, or more and more power, and more name and fame and popularity and followers and whatnot, right? So they commit sinful action, because once it gets fulfilled, now you want more. So that's greed. And when it's unfulfilled, out of anger, they retaliate, because how come this person has car? I'm going to steal somebody's money and get myself a car, right? Or I'm going to cheat at my work, do some kind of corruption, some kind of corrupt action, and get that car. So sinful action. So in this way, material existence perpetuates. And I'm giving big examples, but even for small material desires also, we should really scrutinize. We should scrutinize, is this desire worthy? Is this desire contributing somehow to my existence, to my spiritual progress? Is this desire completely useless? It's going to entangle me. It's going to cause degradation of my consciousness in the long run. Is it aligned with the will of Krishna? Is it aligned with the will of devotees, or with the scriptures? If not, then better to refrain, better to control. We'll talk about which desires should be controlled, which desires should be given up, or which desires should be encouraged. So we'll talk about that. But this is another thing that Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, that material desires are never fulfilled, they're never satisfying enough. They burn like fire. So Krishna says, just after that, 3.37, in 3.39, Krishna says, Avritam jnanam me tena jnanino nityaverina. Jnanino nityaverina. These desires are nityaveri, eternal enemy of jnani people, of intelligent people. Kamarupena kvanteya dushpurena analena cha. Dushpurena analena cha. They burn like fire. So the desires are so, material desires, the desire separate from Krishna, enjoy tendency so strong that it burns within a jiva like a fire. Once a jiva sets his mind to something, that I want this particular thing, then it burns like fire in him. Dushpurena analena cha, Krishna says. So it's a very big enemy. And what did the philosopher say? I have learned to seek my happiness by limiting my desires rather than in attempting to satisfy them. So attempting to satisfy them actually doesn't get us anywhere. It's like a bottomless pit. You keep putting more, and it keeps wanting more and more. Okay, another point to understand. Remember, we talked about desire is a function of mind, right? So there are three functions of mind. You can tell me. We have talked about this many, many times. Thinking, willing, feeling, right? Feeling means emotions, thinking means thoughts, and willing means desires, right? So desires are carried on by the mind. So what do we? So when we leave this body, when we leave this cross body, Remember that soul is still covered by the subtle body, right? Before it gets to the next body. And subtle body carries all the impressions from this body to the next body. This is mentioned many times in Bhagavad Gita chapter 15. Many times Krishna has mentioned this concept that desires or any impressions, any perceptions, any conceptions are carried by subtle body like air carries the aroma. Actually, in 15th chapter, he says that like how air carries the aroma, these conceptions are carried on to the next body. So whatever desires I had in this body, for example, let's say I had a very strong desire to become a pilot, to fly a plane, right? But I could not fulfill it in this life. So it was burning in my heart because I really wanted to do it. Or let's say I wanted to travel somewhere, I could not do it. So that desire will continue to the next body, and we will get to fulfill that desire. Krishna is so merciful that he's going to fulfill that desire in the next body or in some future body, right? So we will, what are we doing? We are perpetuating, we are extending our material existence because we still have unfulfilled desires, which means that our goal is to finish off all our desires, to have a clean slate in this life, right? To purify all these samskaras, all these impressions, all these desires in this life, to cleanse them all. So so this living entity will keep getting next body based on the current desire. This is just some things that I wanted to tell you about the various aspects of desires. Its sitting places, the function of mind, how desires are taking us from one body to another, all these things, okay? Then we'll talk about the discipline of desire. Go ahead, Prabhuji.
Something says that I want to reach the desires, let me do everything, no nonsense, control the desires.
Yeah, what we said. Go ahead. Yes, Prabhu.
तो कभी होगा नहीं कि came rise to the second desire and third desire and then create कभी क्योंकि अपने शास्त्र में बहुत सारे एग्जाम्पल आए हैं, बताया गया है कि कितना भी आपको भोग मिल जाए कभी आप सौरभी मुनि थे, क्या नाम था माता
शबारी
तो सारा ब्रह्मांड का स्त्री और धन आपको मिल जाए फिर भी आप नहीं मिलेगा, तो भी सिखा दिया तो भी आगे उसको सीख करके आगे बढ़ना।
Yes.
ब्रह्मांड का मिल जाएगा फिर भी
Desiring, and then that's where the consequences will also come in action.
Right.
And it will entangle us.
So whatever action you perform to fulfill that desire, now you're already entangled, right? So, and plus, like Prabhuji said, the desires, they will create more desires, right? So it's basically, I think of it as like a sore, as like a pus-filled boil. And it keeps coming, like you squeeze, the pus keeps coming. It's like there is so much stimulus in this world. There is so much sensory stimulus. There is so much stimulation for our intelligence, for our mind, right? You cater to one, then you want something else. It's like dhyato vishayan pumsa. You put your attention onto one thing, then you want something else, right? You go to mall to buy something. Instead of buying that one thing, now you're attracted by 10 other things that you want, right? So actually, our responsibility as a devotee is to create attraction for Krishna among other people, because our attention span is so short. We are distracted by everything in this world. So why not distract people with Krishna? Everybody is trying to fill the void in their life with some temporary short-term enjoyment, temporary short-term desires, right? But the void can only be filled by Krishna. That's the problem. The void can only be filled by Krishna. Didn't George Harrison say that everyone is looking for Krishna, they just don't know it yet? So people are going to mall, people are going to cruises, people are going to movies and whatnot, right? So many things they're doing, just trying to temporarily fill that void, just trying to get some short-term happiness, which is not enough. And in return, they develop 10 other desires, right? They keep getting distracted. So give them Krishna and their desires will be satisfied. They'll feel satiated. Suddenly they won't want those 10 other things that they are getting distracted by. Let's talk about discipline of desire. So what is the discipline of desire? So basically, I'll give you like a little trick because we have to, on a daily basis, we have to scrutinize our desires. We have to look at our desires through the lens of this Krishna consciousness. So we have to see which desires to cater, which desires to completely ignore, and which desires to somewhat dovetail in the service of Krishna. So first of all, if the desires are completely tamasic, okay, to meet with tamasic people, to watch tamasic movies, to read tamasic books, to go to tamasic places, to do the work which may be tamasic, right? So basically, mode of ignorance, things that are in mode of ignorance, whether be it person, place, work, action, hobby, whatever it is. Avoid such desires that are tamasic. Okay. So first of all, try to bring your consciousness to sattva as much as possible, the mode of goodness, elevate to mode of goodness as much as possible. The problem is we have a lot of desires in mode of passion also. So mode of passion, it is said rajasic desires, some of them can be dovetailed. Okay, some of the desires can be dovetailed. So see which desires are worth my time, that are somehow contributing to my existence, somehow helping me advance either people around me or myself in this life. Okay, maybe they're contributing in some way, maybe by earning money, maybe by educating people. Somehow I can dovetail these rajasic desires, these desires in mode of passion. Some you would have to stop altogether, some you can dovetail in towards spirituality or towards your current existence. Sattvic desires, typically you can dovetail in service of Krishna. Sattvic desires, meaning, now let's say we were talking about movies, right? So movies can also be in any of these three categories. But maybe sattvic movies we can somehow dovetail. Maybe we get some ideas, some encouragement, some inspiration, right? But maybe tamasic we cannot. Similarly, tamasic books or tamasic people, right? We probably just need to avoid them. They'll just degrade our consciousness. But sattvic things mostly can be dovetailed in service of Krishna. The only problem with sattvic desires is that we have some selfish agenda with them. We have some selfish material benefit with them, right? So they are not pure. They are not pure sattva. There is some fruitive desire we have. Okay. So that is a sattvic desire. There is some contamination in it. So you can continue that sattvic desire, but gradually attempt to purify it and try to make it completely spiritual. Spiritual desires, typically they are completely pure. They are always, they're aligned with the will of Krishna. They are in service of Krishna, service of devotees. So those desires, we should fuel them. We should ignite them. We should intensify them. We should spend more and more time in them. Okay. So this is how we can structure our lifestyle in such a way that, okay, completely mode of ignorance, I will just avoid them altogether. I got nothing to do with them. Rajasic and Sattvic, I'll see which ones can be dovetailed and can be purified to some extent. And spiritual, I will try to increase more and more. So the typically the concept, the principle is, the more spiritual activities or spiritual desires you fill your life with, automatically the desires in lower modes will go away, because you don't have enough time. You don't have time to entertain the desires in lower modes because you're doing so many activities in higher modes, in sattva or transcendental. So stay in sattva and transcendental as much as possible and fill your life with those activities, those hobbies, those people, those places, so that there is no time for the lower modes. So this is one of the ways that one can evaluate. Now coming to our verse that we were discussing. So let's take the first line. Let's say it so that we keep memorizing it. Akama sarva kamo va, akama sarva kamo va, moksha kama udarati. So udarati word is not explained. I'm just explaining the first 1.5 line. Akama sarva kamo va. So akama means people that are bhaktas, that have desire only for Krishna. So what do? They desire for Krishna, and whatever other desires they have, they try to spiritualize them. They try to dovetail in service of Krishna, somehow make them Krishna consciousness, somehow make them valuable towards your spiritual progress, right? That is what a bhakta or a kama person, a kami person does. Yes, ma'am.
Akama is same as akarma?
Yes, or you can say calm, no calm. So calm means desires separate from Krishna, but their desires are not separate from Krishna. They desire everything for Krishna, for Krishna's satisfaction. They do everything for satisfaction of Krishna. So akama or akarma. Karma means basically activity. Kama means desire. So akarma means activity that brings no entanglement, and akama means a desire that brings no entanglement, right? So akama. So a kama person or bhakta desires only for Krishna satisfaction. They work only for Krishna satisfaction. Bhukti means a kami person, like a very lusty person. Lusty doesn't mean just sexually lusty, but lusty means very enjoy tendency, very much immersed in this world and wants to enjoy different aspects of this world. So that is a bhakti or kami person. They have no discrimination. They just go desire to desire and try to fulfill as many desires as possible in this life, right? Mukti means they try to ignore them. They try to extinguish them, right? So they try to ignore, but ignoring typically doesn't work. Ignoring doesn't work because these desires, remember we talked about dushpurena analena cha. They're like fire. They burn inside a jiva. Those are unfulfilled desires. They're not able to ignore them, right? So just by their own effort, they're not able to ignore them. What they have to do is, what bhaktas do, they have to channel them, they have to redirect them. Instead of having these misplaced desires, place them in the service of Krishna, place them in the satisfaction of Krishna. Only then those desires can be completed. Otherwise, it's difficult to ignore them. Okay, so this is a kama sarva kama. So this is the things we can do. We can either try to minimize them, we can try to control them. Minimizing and controlling is hard, okay, but still tamasic desires we should try to minimize and control as much as possible. The best thing is to spiritualize them and align them with the will of Krishna. Okay. Okay, then I had some stories that I was thinking of. I'll tell you if we have time. Okay, maybe I'll tell you. So this verse here, 10.36.39, this is spoken by Akrura, okay, to Kamsa Maharaj. So Akrura says to Kamsa, an ordinary, so when Kamsa was sending Akrura to get Krishna and Balram, right, to Mathura, so Akrura told Kamsa that you shouldn't do this. But since you are my king, I have no choice. I have to fulfill your desire. I have to fulfill your order. So he said, an ordinary person is determined to act on his desires even when fate prevents their fulfillment. Fate prevented the fulfillment. Like so many demons have been killed. You've sent like 20 demons. They were all killed, huh? And yet you are sending me to bring Krishna and Balram. So you can see that fate does not want it. Yet you are insisting on this. So therefore, such a person will encounter both happiness and distress. Yet, even though such is the case, I will execute your order. So basically, he's guiding him that don't do this. You know, clearly this is against the will of fate, against the will of destiny. This must be against dharma. So don't do it anymore. It's like so many of these negative people, like Ravan was guided by so many people, right? So many people, 10 people at least guided Ravan that returned Mother Sita to Lord Ram. So many people guided Hiranyakashipu not to torture Prahlad Maharaj. So many people guided Hitler not to do all these, torments that he unleashed during the World War II. So many people have guided our wonderful, presidents and dictators and tyrants and Elon Musk and whatnot, not to invest your money in such and such places, right? So many people have guided these power-hungry people who have so many desires, right? You're so intelligent. Stop. These people were all very intelligent. Hiranyakashipu and Ravan, and they were also intelligent. Kamsa Maharaj. So much wealth of knowledge they had, right? But they still had so many desires to enjoy this world. So the problem is that we do not know what is good for us. We do not know what we should desire. So once what happened was there was I'm trying to think of which story to tell you. Yeah. So there was a man who there are many stories. Which one should I tell? Okay, I'll tell you that lady. Okay, let's tell you about quick one. So there was a lady who was going on the road, and she had a heavy load on her head. And she was getting tired. The sun was blazing. She was perspiring, and she just was getting exhausted. Okay, so she fell down. Her burden fell down. Her load fell down. And she was praying to Krishna, oh Krishna, please come help me, save me. And Krishna actually came. Okay? And when Krishna came, so she saw him and she said, Krishna, please help me carry this burden. So he gave her the load and put it on her head, and she was able to go on her path again. When she walked a little bit of distance, she just realized, I just saw Krishna. I met Krishna. And what did I ask him? I asked him to put the load back on my head. I should have said to just take care of this load. I don't want to carry this anymore. but I asked him to put the load back on my head. So then basically I'm continuing in my existence as such, right? So I'm going to get exhausted again. The load is just going to get heavier and heavier because I'm going to get tired and tired. So what did I do? This is such a waste, right? Missed the opportunity, missed the point. So this is what we do. We ask Krishna, like in most of the religions, actually, if you think, people just go to the Lord and this is like a barter system. You give me this and I will give you that, right? You fulfill my desires, you make me happy, you make me wealthy, you give me a son, you give me a wife, whatever, and give me a job, give me a promotion, and I'll give you this in return. So it's like a barter system. It's like a business. This is not what a servant does. This is not what a beloved does. This is not what a child does for his parent, right? It's not a business transaction. But most religions, this is what we see. Even in Hindu religion, in the lower principles, that is what is being going on. So we don't know what to desire. We just tell Krishna, we put our order in front of him. This is all these things I desire, right? Such and such person has this car, such and such person has this knowledge, or such and such person has this skill set, such person has this house, and I want all these kind of things. So we are just going by whatever we see around us in this world, just the short-term things that are very temporary and that are just going to cause problems in future life. We don't know what is good for our future, right? So we just ask for these short-term benefits and enjoyments. But Krishna is very smart. So like one time what happened was, there was a man. He went on top of the mountain. He had heard that if you go to mountain, you can see God there. You can shout from the mountain and you will see God. So he went on top of a mountain and he shouted for God. And Krishna came, God came. Okay. So when God came, he said, the person said, I have two questions for you. One question is, how long is your one moment? He said, God said, my one moment is equal to like thousands of your years, thousands of your life years. He said, okay. How much is your one penny? He said, my one penny, God said, my one penny is equal to millions of your money, millions of your dollars. So the devotee said, or the person said, okay, Krishna, then I want one penny. Krishna said, okay, wait 1 minute. So Krishna is very smart. He's not just going to fulfill all our desires. If we take shelter of Krishna, then he's not just going to give us what we want. He's going to give us what we need. Like when I do surgery, when I ask for something, right, and the nurse will give me. I asked for a scalpel, and she gave me scissors. But I actually really needed scissors. So that is a good nurse. Because the dictum in our profession is, don't give me what I want or ask, give me what I need. So even though I asked for something else because I'm confused, right, I'm so immersed in it that I just absent-mindedly call out for scissors, but actually I needed scalpel, and she saw that that's not what she needs. So that's a good nurse. Similarly, Krishna, if we put our faith in Krishna, Krishna is going to give us what we need and not necessarily what we want. So we should not be disappointed when we don't get what we want. We should just say, Jo Hari Ichha. Prabhupada used to say, Jo Hari Ichha, whatever he wants, not my Ichha. So then the second word of that second line is, so akama sarva kamova mokshikama udaradhi. Okay, dhi means intelligence. Udar means broad. So we actually discussed this concept in the end of third chapter about broad-minded intelligence, which is looking at the long-term benefits, not just the short-term consequences, or not just the short-term benefits, right? What is short-term benefits called in Sanskrit?
Shreyas.
Now, which one is Shreyas? Shreyas is the long-term benefits, right? Can somebody quote a famous verse where somebody says, tell me the Shreyas? Ahata svabhava vichami tvam dharma sammuche yad shreyaschayan nishchitam brudhi tanye shishyasteham shadimam tvam prapannam. So tell me the Shreyas, tell me what is good for me in long term, long run, right? I don't want to know what is good for me in short term. Most people have, but he said, I have karpanya dosh right now because I'm only able to think of prayers, the short-term benefits, right? I'm only able to see the bodies of these people and how I will not be able to enjoy, or they will not be able to enjoy, or all these short-term things I'm thinking of. So give me developed, cultivated, mature spiritual intelligence. Okay, so intelligence, in being intelligent doesn't mean materially intelligent. Being intelligent means spiritually intelligent, which is a very advanced, developed, mature intelligence, udaradhi, okay, that can look beyond the temporary. So from kripan we have to become udaradhi. Okay, from karpanya dosh we have to go towards udaradhi. From kripan means narrow-minded, miserly person. From miserly weakness we have to go to broad-minded intelligence, right? So who will give that intelligence? What does Krishna say? From Chaturshloki, Krishna says, Dadami buddhi yogam tam. I will give you the intelligence from within, right? And he said, Nashyami atma bhavasto jnana dipen bhasvata, right? I will light the lamp of knowledge in your heart, and that will drive away all the ignorance, right? So, but to whom will I do that? Tesham satat yuktanam bhajtam priti purvakam. People that are depending on me, people that are doing my bhajan, my devotional service, right? So to those people, I will give the intelligence from within. I'll light the lamp of knowledge, right? Tesham eva anukampartham. To them, I'll give my anukampa, my mercy, right? And to those people, mat chitta mat gat parana, those that are always engaged in talking about me, discussing about me. Mat chitta mat gat parana, bodhyanta parasparam, katyantascha mam nityam, tushyanti cha ramanti cha. These people are completely satisfied. They are tushyanti. Tushyanti means to be completely satisfied. But kami people are sakale ashant. They are always ashant, and devotees shant, devotees tushyanti and ramanti. Devotees blissful and satisfied. Why? Because he is depending on Krishna. So whatever you need, right? So our free will is meant to decide what I want to do in this world, what I don't want to do, what should I desire, what I should not desire. So depend on Krishna for that guidance. We have some structure that I gave you, right? But still depend on Krishna, because Krishna will guide from within. So even if you need something, let's say you do have some desires, even for those, approach Krishna. Don't do any upayas, don't do any horoscopes, and don't do any astrology, and don't do any Devi Devta worship to fulfill those desires, right? Don't do anything other than Krishna, because Krishna is the supreme well-wisher, he's the supreme father. So depend on Krishna, because he will either fulfill it in such a way that our desire is purified, or he will not fulfill it because we didn't need it, because it was harmful for us, right? So just depend on Krishna. Can somebody give me an example of certain people in scripture that had desires separate from Krishna, but they went to Krishna and Krishna purified those desires? Dhruv Maharaj, yes. So let's say that verse which talks about this concept from 7th chapter, 7.16. Chaturvidha bhajante mam jana sukritino arjuna artho jigyasu artharti jnani cha bhartarshaba. So which are 4 types of people? Chaturvidha bhajante mam. 4 types of people come to me. Artho, jigyasu, artharti, and jnani. Which one is Dhruv Maharaj? So artho is artho, because he wants artha, he wants money, right? People that want money, he wanted kingdom, so artho. Can somebody give an example of artharti? Artharti means very distressed, very troubled person. Who was a very troubled person that approached the Lord? Yeah, but she's a pure devotee of the Lord, so that's a different feeling there. Gajendra. So Artharti, there are typical examples for 4 of these. So Artharti is Gajendra. Okay, Gajendra was very much distressed and he approached Krishna to save him. Right. Give an example of Jigyasu, somebody that's curious, a learned person that wants to know, like they want knowledge, and they went to Krishna. They're approaching Krishna. Uddhava's example is given, yes. But in our tradition, Uddhava is the pure devotee of the Lord, so we don't count him in this. But yeah, still there is a typical example given. So that one is Jnani. So Shukdev Goswami and 4 Kumaras, they're all Jnanis, right? And so one more, Jigyasu. Jigyasu, the typical example given is Shaunakadi Rishis, the sages of Naimisharanya. So these are curious. They stopped Sud Goswami. We want to know what happened. So this is just just some examples that even if you have some desires other than Krishna, still depend on Krishna, still approach him. Okay. Then the last line is this the third line? So akama sarva kamo va, akama sarva kamo va, moksha kama udarati, tivrena bhakti yogena. Okay. Tivrena bhakti yogena means very forceful bhakti. So bhakti's power and force is such. So if desires are fire, the fire of bhakti, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, the fire of bhakti is more powerful than the fire of desires. Quickly, the fire of bhakti will completely extinguish the fire of the desires. So it's Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur actually compares the fire of bhakti to the fire of digestion. Just like you put some food stuff in your stomach and the fire of digestion dissolves that food matter, food particles. Similarly, the bhakti's fire, the force, the power is so strong that it will annihilate any other desires other that are separate from Krishna. So, Krishna or Krishna, what do you want? So, we want Krishna, right? So, what is this verse? This is Shikshashtakam. So, let's say this. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Na dhanam na janam na sundarim कवितां वा जगदीश कामये मम जन्मनि जन्मनि ईश्वरे भवताद् भक्तिरहेतु की त्वयि. So he said, that's what I want. I want your devotional service. I don't want janam and all these other things that are mentioned here. So basically, this is the power of bhakti. Bhakti, can somebody tell me? This is very significant. Please listen carefully. Couple of you might know. There is a definition of bhakti given by Rupa Goswami in Nectar of Devotion. What is that definition of bhakti? Huh? Yeah, that's Srimad Bhagavatam. Yeah, but we call it like definition of bhakti. But you're very much right. अन्याभिलाषिता शून्यं ज्ञान कर्मादि अनावृतम् अनुकूलेन कृष्णानुशीलनं भक्तिरुत्तमा. Somebody can say, I have bhakti, I have faith, I have my heart is in Krishna, right? But Prabhupada said it has to be anushilanam. Bhakti means anushilanam, meaning, first of all, it should be anyabhilashita. There should not be any other desire. It should be devoid of jnana karmadi anavritam. It should be devoid of any jnana and karma. But most importantly, it should be anushilanam, meaning there should be service. Like one devotee said one time, two devotees were talking. One devotee said, आप आजकल मंगल आरती नहीं आते हैं, हाँ काफी दिनों से आपको मंगल आरती में नहीं देखा. तो वो बोलते हैं, हाँ पर मैं मन से तो वहीं पे हूँ, दिल से तो वहीं हूँ. दिल से हो तो बाकी की बॉडी को भी लेके आओ ना. So anushilanam means service. So that's why Prabhupada has said not just devotion. Bhakti means devotional service. Anushilanam bhaktir uttamam. So it has to be service. So devotion is not just a abstract, obtuse concept. It is a very tangible service that is rendered to the Lord. Okay, and that type of service should be devoid of any ulterior motive like jnana, karma, anyabhilashita shunyam. It should be devoid of anything else. So in that mode, with that bhakti, when you do, all your other desires will be extinguished. And who should you render service to? Yajeta Purusham Param. That you should render service to the Supreme Lord. Anybody recognizes that painting? I don't know if you were so immersed in the class. I'm thinking nobody's noticed any paintings. You've been noticing painting? Okay. So next one, let's see if you notice this one. Oh. Whose painting is that? Guess who? So anyway, so you ask initially. So we said everybody can come to Krishna consciousness, right? Mukti, Bhukti, Siddhi, Kami, everybody will come. Initially they will come. How does it matter why they came? How does it matter why they came? You may have come because you had some desire, right? Maybe you wanted some intelligence, knowledge, power, ambitions, whatever. You had all these things, right? what matters is that in the end you are purified. In the end you stayed, right? In the beginning, somebody will come asking from Krishna. But so much transformation will happen with bhakti that now instead of asking from Krishna, you will be asking for Krishna. So this is a journey of asking from Krishna to ask for Krishna. So this is what we see in the life of Dhruv Maharaj, right? Dhruv Maharaj is often given as an example for this. So this happens through that program of devotional service. Basically, we start divesting from the world and investing in Krishna. Our Guru Maharaj uses this word, divest from the world. If you're a business person, you probably know that divestment means to withdraw your resources, your funds from certain endeavors that are fruitless, right? Like I have, let's say, 10 branches, 10 businesses running. I realize that this particular business is failing. There is no profit in it. So divest from that business. So that is called divestment. So divest from the world and invest in Krishna, right? This is that what I was saying, that everybody is looking for Krishna, but they just don't know it yet. George Harrison said that. And anything less than Krishna will not suffice. It is just not sufficient. It just does not fill the void, right? There is an example for that in scriptures also, that nothing else. So let's say you're going around in the world, right? People don't know that they need Krishna. So what is your responsibility? What is your service? What is your austerity, your tapasya? To give them Krishna, right? That is preaching. Like for example, take the example of fruit seller lady. She came to Krishna's house wanting to make a profit, right? She just wanted to sell her fruit. She just wanted to make money, until she saw Krishna and realized, I don't want money. I want this. This is who I want. So give people the taste of Krishna, and they may realize suddenly, hold on, I didn't want any of these other things. This is what I want. This is where the real thing is. This is where that void is getting filled, right? So give them Krishna, and they will suddenly realize that this is actually the real thing that they always wanted. Fruit seller lady suddenly realized, I don't want that money. I want this fellow, this person. This is my life and soul now. So, and same thing happened with Dhruv Maharaj when he got the darshan of Krishna. Same thing happened with 4 Kumaras actually, when they smell the lotus feet, the tulsi's smell from the lotus feet of Krishna. They didn't even see the full Krishna. They just saw his feet. They didn't even see his feet. They just smelled the tulsi emanating from his feet before they were sold that this is what we want. Shukdev Goswami just heard 2 verses that were being recited. Like he was walking and there were 2 verses that were they were reciting the beauty of Krishna behind him. And he turned and he said, who are you talking about? What are you talking about? I want to know more. What is this? This is amazing. And from Jnani, he became a Bhakta, right? So like that. So we are chasing so many wants in this world, but we are just missing out. I'll stop. Basically, all desires, we have so many desires in this world, but all desires are zero, and the only thing that matters is Krishna. So if you add Krishna in front of those zeros, maybe we can dovetail all those zeros in service of Krishna, and then they will matter. Remember, Krishna is supremely desirable, and Vrajvasis only want the satisfaction of Krishna, right? So we are trying to follow in the footsteps of Vraj Bhakti is what we are trying to emulate. So that bhakti is such, so high notch, it's so topmost that even Krishna does not understand the depth of Vrajvasi's feelings. Even he has to come here to understand the feelings of Vrajvasis. Even he runs away from it. He leaves Vraj because he doesn't understand what this feeling is about, right? So it is said that I was just watching a video recently, and the devotee was sharing that a devotee asked Krishna, tell me what are the 2 most important things to you. So Krishna said that the 2 important things that I have are Maya and Bhakti. Okay, he said I don't know what those 2 things are. Can you tell me more? Which one should I choose? He said actually they're not very different. Both of them make one dance. He said, okay, both of them make you dance. So, but still, there must be some difference between the 2. Which one should I pick? So Krishna said, okay, the difference is that Maya Shakti makes you dance and Bhakti makes me dance. So now you decide which one you want. So the devotee said, I want Bhakti because I want to make you dance. So if you pick Krishna, if you pick Bhakti, if you engage in devotional service, then you make Krishna dance to your tunes actually. So all the other desires will feel very shallow, very superficial, very hollow compared to the satisfaction one gets with devotional service. That's all I have to share. Thank you so much for listening. Any questions or any realizations, anything anyone wants to share?
What is the literal meaning of the Yajeta?
Oh, Yajeta means to worship. Yajan. So, anybody has memorized this verse by the end of this? Yes. Akama sarva kamo va moksha kama udaradhi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. Very nice. Who else? Just try. Just try. If you try in Association of Devotees, it will go in. Yes.
Akama sarva kame
Akama sarva kamo va
udaradhi
moksha kama udaradhi
yogena
tivrena bhakti yogena
param
yajeta paramam purush yajeta param purush. Okay, I'm getting it. Yajeta purusham param. Sorry. Yajeta purusham param. Who else wants to recite? You want Akama sarva kamo va moksha kama udaradhi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. Yes. Akama sarva kamo va moksha kama udaradhi tivrena bhakti yogena tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. Yajeta purusham param. I think everybody has memorized pretty much, right? Yes, Madhu. Akama sarva kamo va moksha kama udaradhi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. Who else? Maybe two more. Akama sarva kamo va moksha kama udaradhi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. Akama sarva kamo va moksha kama udaradhi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. Anybody else who hasn't recited but learned? You want to? Akama sarva kamo va moksha kama udaradhi tivrena bhakti yogena purusham param yajeta purusham param. I'll tell you, because I was thinking of many stories at that time, I couldn't decide which one. So we were discussing the concept how we don't know what to ask for Krishna, right? And Krishna is very smart. So one time a person asked Krishna, him and his wife, they were both 60 years old. Okay? So Krishna came in front of them, and the man asked Krishna, I want to become 30 years younger than my wife. So I want to become 30 years younger than my wife. Krishna said, okay, granted. And suddenly his wife was 90 years old. So, so this is Krishna, right? He's very smart, and his devotees are also very smart. Chatur, Krishna Bhakta, Bada Chatur. There is another beautiful verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita that says that how our desires should be in satisfaction of Krishna. It goes like this. Atmendriya priti vancha tara balikama Krishnendriya priti ichha dhare premanama. So Atmendriya priti vancha. If you are filling your own sense, you're doing your own sense gratification just for your own satisfaction, then that tara bali kam, that is called kam. Krishna Indriya Priti Ichha, but if you want to please Krishna, if you're pleasing the senses of Krishna, Dhare Premna, then that is called Prem. There's a difference between material desires versus desiring for Krishna. Huh? Yeah, you want to say. So these are all actually verses. Sarvopadi vinirmuktam tatparatmena nirmalam rishikena rishikesha sevanam bhaktiruchyate. So this is also another definition of Uttam Bhakti. And Prabhuji was also quoting that verse that mentions the Sa vai pumsa paro dharmo yato bhaktir adhokshaje ahetuki apratihata yayatma suprasidati. That is the only thing that can satisfy the heart deeply. Yayatma suprasidati, not just prasann, but suprasidati. What? Ahetuki apratihata bhakti. Unmotivated, uninterrupted devotional service. Okay, I'll stop. Any questions we can take? If not, stop. Thank you, everyone. For joining.
क्या क्या चाहिए
Okay.
बोलो कृष्णा चाहिए
Ask for Krishna. He got that message. So we'll stop. Thank you, everyone, for joining and listening patiently, for honoring this class. Pancha Kautarubhescha Kripa Sindhubhyaya Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Grantha Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories, all glories, all glories to Guru and Param. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Radha.